Hello, today we are here at Crazy Nick's Gaming and we have RDR. So what deck were you playing in?
Yeah, so I played the infamous 2-soul stock soul Musume build. It's my only almost fully foiled deck. As you can see, two soul stock soul. And I went 2-1 and I got second place today. Basically, the point of the deck is to do a lot of damage, which sounds pretty straightforward. What makes this deck interesting is obviously that all of the climaxes have 2 soul triggers, stock soul and a 2 soul. Your objective in the game, besides doing damage, how to do that is to have a climax in your hand every turn. So that starts from the first card, the Fine Motion Brainstormer. It is a top check 3 add 1 Brainstorm. Obviously, the point of this, running this Brainstorm as opposed to Salvage Brainstorm, is that you can grab climaxes with it, and you can also grab the events with it. And that's important because this deck runs 5 events. It runs the Trial Deck event. This lets you play with a 1-turn delay, the Silent Suzuka finisher. In like a win more situation, playing this, it takes 1 turn, so you can use it the next turn to play this from your hand for no cost. And this heals on play, so it's also like a defensive or sustainer sort of card. So sometimes, if you manage to draw this, have it in hand, play it at level 2, survive a level 2 turn, that's okay. You can play the next turn even without a climax because you still heal on play for free, which is like insane. So it's really good. You're running 2 of them just because you're not really expecting to tri-field it and you just run out of slots. Most notably for the other event in this deck, which is the President event, which is one of the most low-key powerful cards in the Musume set because it's modular. It does different things based on how many of them you have in your memory. So you just straight up send it to memory free and you pay it out for different payouts, right? So you can pay out 1 to salvage, you pay out 2 to burn 2, pay out 3 to burn 3, and pump power. Most of the time this is salvage. This is basically like extra hand cards because it banks you extra hand for later on. The Brainstorm also has a on climax placement pitch to show your opponent top 2 of their deck. They choose 1 event or character to add to hand. That's really important to get out of bad deck states, get rid of extra climaxes. So it's just overall like really fits the game plan. Running 2 copies of the Rico, double rare, Machikane Tannhäuser for 2 reasons. 1, red fix to run the red in the deck, of which we have 3 level 3s. We'll get to them later. So Rico is good because the whole engine of the deck is to play the Aurora Climax combo every turn, and this lets you do that because you can always salvage 0 regardless of what you reveal off of the Rico, right? So the centerpiece of the deck is obviously everyone's favorite Musume, Aurora, the horse who never won a single race in her entire career. 113 losses, 0 wins. But I get some wins with this deck, I'll tell you that. Why? It's a climax combo and a climax swap in the same card. So regular climax swap and the climax combo is some people call Operation Tornado. So it's on climax placement. If you have 2 or more other characters, mill the top 3 cards to your deck. Mandatory mill 3. Salvage level extra lower character based on the number of characters that you milled. So, sometimes you're not gonna. The ideal situation is you grab level 3, right? You grab Suzuka. You grab the early play. You grab something higher level. But even if you reveal nothing, you just grab more of her. Or you grab your other level 0s you run. So you're always getting value out of this because you're running enough level 0s. So it's really powerful. And I usually don't tri-field this, even if I have all of them in hand. I'll play 2 of them, 3 of them. It's also modular. It's deck state dependent, right? So if you have a lot of climax in your deck, you don't want to tri-field it. You just run you just dual field it, whatever, just to get that hand back. But if you're out all your climaxes, you're turboing. You're tri-fielding this. You're resolving 2 of this if you have 2 of this in your back row. You're doing everything you can to mill. So you have that ability to mill 3, 6, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15 cards from your deck just by tri-fielding this, just by backfilling that. So that makes it super powerful. And what I'll do is you could park 1 in the back row, have 1 in the front row. You never contest board with this deck. You just don't. You just lose board presence most of the time. That's okay. You crash this, and the next turn it's in your waiting room. Oh, you just grab it back with one of your many ways to grab level 0s, the Rico, whatever. And since it's a climax swap with this, whatever climax you grab with the top 3 out on Brainstorm, you just climax swap it and then swap to the stock soul. So that's how you loop the combo. So the other level 0 game is the Summon Ricky. Manhattan Cafe. Not a great card. It's a good card. I mean, there's just so many ways that this gets counterplayed in the game today, but it's still good just so that you can out your Auroras on field or your Brainstormer if you can't find it. So I'm running 2 Brainstormers only because of this. I hope that I can search it out. The downside is it's top of the stock to the clock as the cost to summon on death. So it can be bombed or whatever. And then if your last card is a climax, and you just gotta eat that. So that's like something to keep in mind. But you know, it's still good at what it does. And then for the beaters, we have 3 Naruto top roads, aka NTR. So it's just straight up a beater. It's a 4K chaser on the opponent's turn with basically no condition. The condition is gains power of all your characters of Musume. So barring a trait delete, it's always going to be 4K on the opponent's turn, even if you have only 1 copy. Probably the best card to open with in this deck, but I don't try to dig for it. It's nice to have if it's a turn 1 card. The 1 of level 0s, obviously the Nice Nature Helmet. This emerged. This basically drove the classic Ricky out to extinction because it has on-play costless Clock Self to bond with this vanilla. So if you have the vanilla in your waiting room when you bond, you can clock yourself infinitely for no cost to get yourself out of level lock situations. If you don't have in the waiting room, it's still good. It's good for color fixing. It's good for whatever. Like sometimes you just need a clock yourself. That's how. So really great package. Sort of utility. We've got a stock bomb, Fuji Kiseki. This classic stock bomb also gives power on attack. Because again, there's just no way. This deck just has so little board presence. This is just one way to claw a little bit back. Same idea behind Kitas on black. On play, assign 1500 power to anything. That's also a way to give power to anything. And then on death, Fukujiro. So it's a way to get any level 1 or higher. Obviously, ideally, you're getting the events. You're getting the finishers. All these level 1 or higher cards. You got the Nice Nature, a Magi Free Runner. Just a useful card to get out of bad deck states to mill the deck. And then we have Daitaki Helios, Kazuma. So on the outplay, pay 1, pitch 1, top 3, out 1. Just another way to grab events. Then it has a shuffle back to side without soul penalty because we just so seldom are able to contest board. Sometimes we just got to do that to get ourselves in a good deck state, or because we need to side a standby opponent or something like that. But otherwise, you crash, no loss. The level 1 game is just like really funny. It's just beaters. So we got the Mr. CB beater. On your turn, it's 7K. On the opponent's turn, when you cancel their damage, you can bounce the hand. So that denies on reverse effects, and it keeps your hand alive, because sometimes you could have bad games, just have no hand. These 2 are like very optional tech cards. So we got the Vodka, the on attack, on turn of play, pay 1, pitch 2, search 2. Good way to get non-climaxes out of your deck if you need that. It is situational though, because you often don't have enough hand to pitch, but sometimes you do need a hand fix, you need a deck fix. That's how you do it. And the only card that's not foil is the Magazine PR Silent Suzuka. The foil version of this card is only available as a Title Cup winner card, so it's very hard to find. It's another utility card. It has on attack, pitch a card, bounce one of your characters to hand. So that's good for bouncing anything of the level 0s you crash, or a Haru Urara that's in the back row, so you can recycle and play it again next turn. So that's why that's played in the deck. Right?
How did you get this card?
It's from the Bushiroad Monthly Magazine. May it rest in peace.
Did you buy the magazine?
Yeah, I bought 4 copies of the magazine to get a playset of it, and I only used 1. The level 2 game is basically trolling. So besides the events we talked about, these are the only 2 level 2 characters. Gold City, one of my favorite Musume, where she has a spot in this deck because again, you have no way to contest board, and she's the biggest way to contest board. It's 2 or more of the characters. It's 10-5 on your turn, and until the end of the opponent's next turn, it's 12-5 Bodyguard. It's basically the biggest body in the whole deck. So the tactic is, obviously Bodyguard is the way to win the board back, but if you play this and Uraras on the side, which you'll probably side attack anyway, have this in the middle. Hopefully you salvage the memory kick, so this can really scare opponents into attacking your board. Well, they won't have a choice. This plus this means on your opponent's turn 15-5, your opponent's whole board can be memory kicked, and they have to front attack into it, obviously. You don't usually do that because, you know, you're compressing your opponent's deck, but to win board, if you really need to win board, this is the best way to do it. It's a big troll opponent situation. Level 3s, we have the Mr. CV early play heal. It's a unique early play because it has no condition. As long as it's in the hand, it's early play. But you need to rest 2 characters. So ideally, you're resting this or Ura's in the back row. Because then you can do your combo and you can plus and you can play this without any sort of cost. Or you rest the helmet, obviously. That's the other way to like get value out of it, to use it. It's not always used, but you know, you do like end up having a lot of stock in this deck because it's a stock soul deck, and you're ideally stock souling a return. So you actually usually do have enough stock to play this. And then the other early play is 2 or less climax early play, simply Rudolph, which multiple uses. It's one way to deal damage earlier before level 3 if you don't have events in the that you weren't able to play events. And then it's also an on-play draw 2, pitch 2 blind stock, which is just another way for us to grab those events, grab those climaxes, so it can slam climax every turn. And it has the Mise Kuro effect, which is the on attack pay 1, pitch 1, gain power, and on reverse burn. So it's basically our off finisher or utility, you know, a way to pay out stock extra at the same time. And since you usually are cycling the deck pretty often, you usually are able to meet that 2 or less climax condition. This is a great card. And then, of course, the Tokateo stock swap. I'm only running 1 because I don't think I really need a stock swap a lot. But some players will want to run 2 just so that they have the chance of stock swapping and also to use the off finisher burn effect. So Suzuka, the finisher, best for last. I'm wearing the Suzuka shirt right now, actually. On play heal, very straightforward effect. On attack, pay 1, burn 2, next soul itself, which is super neat because it means it's swinging for 3 instead of 4 or 5 at a direct lane. So you're able to modulate soul. You know, if you have a certain situation, you can just not burn and like side attack with the 4 soul and like do precise damage. So it's like better than it looks, and it's only pay 1, so you can just dump your whole hand when you play this card, and as long as you have 1 stock, when you start, like, you're chilling. So yeah, that's the deck. Play climax every turn, and your opponent eats 6 and dies.
How was the win rate for this deck?
I think the win rate for this is pretty good. Like, I've had a couple locals where I just crash out, but you can always scam a couple wins with this deck because you're always swinging for soul, you're side attacking for soul, you know, so your opponent's taking a lot of damage. You know, it's like the opposite of your like standby deck. So you're always triggering soul, you know, either from the climaxes or from the level 2 to the level 3 game. So it does pretty well most of the time.
So which Uma Musume character is your favorite?
Well, I don't have a single favorite. If we limit it to the cards in this deck, then Gold City.
But what about in general?
In general, still her. Still her. Yeah. No, I like Admire Vega as well. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a good card in the set.
So set 2 is coming out. Would you be getting into that?
Yeah, I'm gonna get like AKs because not any more than that, because I don't particularly love any of the characters that are in the movie. I've grown on a couple of them, but the movie's not out in like North America yet, so I haven't been able to see it, and no one has. But you know, so yeah, one would be enough. The movie is about the abbreviations like JAM, so Jungle Pocket, Manhattan Cafe, and then Agnes Takion. So they're like the turn of the century like rivalry sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the movie is going to be about. Not sponsored.
All right, any final words on the deck?
What I really like is my friend's friend played this deck in Japan. She net decked me, and she managed to top. And the people at the shop, or the shop owner, called it like the American Umu Musume deck, which I just think is really endearing.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.